that comes to council, and again, that's one reason why I stated if the Treasury does not change their rules on it as of yet. Right now, those funds are technically unrestricted, and we can use those to pay for the bonus and reimburse for this. So this is not money that's coming out of the general fund.
Mhm. So is there a possibility instead of the bonus that you had initially spoke to us about increasing that bonus where all employees would get additional, more money than what you had spoken to us about before? Or is there a cap to the amount of bonus that we can give to all employees?
Well, that I don't know. I would have to read further into the Treasury information. But as just a cursory read that I've done,
Mhm,
it's basically up to the council how we would allocate it through resolution.
mhm.
And, and based on the recommendations that we brought forth.
Okay. So I'll say for me, I'm not against it, but I'm not kind of in favor too, so kind of in the middle. The reason I say that is because I do want to recognize all staff because at this point, everybody has to come back full time and work full time. Um, and this is nothing against our police and fire. Please don't think that. But I know in March of 2020, in the midst of the pandemic, the police and the fire had to work when some of our staff was off. We kind of like pulled back from our other staff and they were out there. And so we approved with no qualms about it, approved them getting the extra stipend for that purpose. But since we're really kind of like, everybody's kind of like back, I would be more in favor of upping the one-time bonus if there's no cap to it. I would up the one-time bonus for all employees to get that as opposed to you know.
And,
That's my thoughts.
thank you. And so with the one-time bonus, once the funds have actually been received, then you bring it back before council. So we do have some time to play with those numbers, correct?
Yes, we do. We have time to play with those numbers, but and the only reason I did bring this forth is because although I know that, we've lifted restrictions, the state have lifted restrictions in a lot of other areas, our first responders are constantly still directly in the face of, the COVID, the variant, everything that that has to do with it. That's the reason I brought this forward because they are still directly on that front line dealing with that. Um, and really, that's where I think we're going to get the test for the vaccine. We're going to find out if the vaccine is really effective with a lot of our first responders that have been vaccinated and hoping that they, even though they're still using their personal protection equipment and everything, responding to the calls, we're just hoping that they don't get infected. That's the only reason I really brought this forward because I still feel that they are directly in front line. And without forgetting the rest of the staff, we wanted to do the one-time bonus as a thank you for all of that. And yes, we do have time to play with the numbers. This is actually set to end. If not approved tonight, this will go away as of, this coming pay period. So that's the reason I was looking at that, but we do still have time to play with those numbers.
Okay, well, Madam Mayor.
Agree with what Councilwoman James said as far as all of the employees, because now that we are opening up to the public is, and I love fire, I love our police officers, but everybody is exposed. It's not just our first responders. Everyone is exposed. So I agree. Like, it should be across the board stipend or across the board bonus for everyone, not just.
Well,
single
doing this,
Sorry, Councilwoman James.
go ahead.
So just wanted to get clarity. It says firefighters, EMS, police officers, and dispatchers. So we're not talking about the entire department. We're talking about specific employees within those departments, or are we talking
Yeah,
about
like
the
the
entire?
administrative staff.
Right.
That is something that, Arquita, is that? But I think it was directly for the
Yeah,
frontline
directly
staff.
front line.
Oh, frontline. Okay.
No, the admin staff is not receiving
Okay.
the $75 stipend.
So it's just directly the
Mhm.
frontline, okay.
Dealing with, and again, I'm very open to, the entire staff. Our staff do have some protections with being behind certain areas, to where, unfortunately, our first responders, like I say, even though they use they're still coming directly in contact with it. So that's the only reason I brought this forward. And like I said, if it doesn't approve, it will go away as of this pay period. And we will move forward once we get the funds in and we bring the resolution back to council for the one-time bonus that can be changed as well.
I don't think we have to choose. Like, we have funds allocated from the government, the American Rescue Funds, where we can do both things. I think we have an opportunity here to show how our appreciation, and having to choose is like, we don't really have to choose. It's not limited. I mean, it is limited to 7 million, but it's enough to do both things. And you can't compare a first responder that goes in a home or a police officer that has to chase someone down that has COVID or not to, I don't know, another admin employee that is, behind a glass and just talks to somebody. So
Any other questions or comments? Okay, item 3, council discussion on approving a revised policy for City of Forest Park proclamation request. Background and history. Among the many ceremonial functions of the office of mayor is recognizing and honoring people, events, activities, organizations, issues, etc., through the issuance of formal proclamations. A city proclamation is the highest honor bestowed from the City of Forest Park, and the goal is to recognize and celebrate the extraordinary achievements of local citizens and nonprofit organizations, honor occasions of importance and significance, and to increase public awareness of issues to improve the well-being of the citizens of Forest Park. The purpose of this item is to establish a policy and procedures to formalize requests for proclamations from the City of Forest Park and their issuance. Is there questions, comments, or discussion on this item?
I have I definitely agree that we should establish a procedure, but I guess when I was reading procedures, I don't agree with the part right here where it says submission of a proclamation request does not guarantee its issuance, not that sentence. The mayor or a veto-proof majority of city council should have the right to modify or deny any proclamation requests consistent with this policy.
So would you like that removed or reworded?
Right here.
Page 18.
18. Yeah, I definitely think, it should be something, we might not all agree on stuff, and I think that might get political at some points. And I just want to avoid that because it's about celebrating our people. I like how we have the categories. I think that's cool. And I definitely want to establish a procedure, but I don't like that part where it has to be, I think everybody should have the option to sign it. Like, it should be open to everybody because it's a city recognition, but I don't think it should be, I can say, no, Councilwoman, I don't want you to give that person that, or the mayor.
Oh,
I agree.
And, Dr. Cooper just
And
said,
then, and I do apologize, Councilman. We were, this actual ordinance and things were written a while ago. And between the city attorney and myself, we were trying to go back to change because it really should be, the mayor should be taken out of that. It should be a veto-proof majority of the council that actually approves that. So that should not, and that needs to be rewritten, that part. That was a part that we missed. I do apologize for that.
so does that
What-
change your sentiment, Councilman Gutierrez?
What would it read then? What would it be then, Mike?
It would be a veto-proof majority of the council. So basically, 4 out of 5 council members would have to agree.
Well, oh, go ahead.
No, I mean,
No, I was just gonna say, like, I feel like y'all are trying to politicize the whole proclamation thing, because as an elected official, I have the rights. It's within my power to give out a proclamation, and y'all went into detail as far as only the mayor could read a proclamation. It has to be approved. Well, her or Hector, I might not agree with a proclamation that he want to give. He may want to give a proclamation to a little boy that saved somebody's life in his ward. And who am I to say, no, I don't agree with that? And then he can't do it. That's a power that you have being an elected official. So I don't agree with having to come to get. Now, I do agree with everyone signing. I'm not opposed to that. That's fine. If, people want to sign everything, that's fine. But as far as saying we need permission to give a proclamation, no. Does the mayor, of not just her, whoever the mayor is at the time, do they have to come and get approval?
Yes.
Do we have, so if I go and get a proclamation according to what y'all typed up, I need to get approval from the council to do what my job is as an elected official. That doesn't make sense to
When
me.
you are given a proclamation, you are proclaiming something for the city.
Uh-huh.
And unfortunately, one councilwoman or even one mayor in the city of Forest Park does not have the authority to proclaim something for the entire city. So that's why we were looking at putting the procedures in place to ensure that if something is going to be proclaimed for the city, that
We are
it's this
elected
governing
officials.
body agrees to it. The congratulatory letter that was added into that was actually for individual council members to give out individual council, congratulatory letters or whatever the case may be. But the proclamation itself is a formal process coming from the city that's proclaiming something for this.
Okay, and we're city officials. So that means we can give proclamation. So again, I agree with the one part as far as everybody signing, but as far as somebody coming to get permission to give a proclamation, or when they give a proclamation, it can only go through her and she's the only one that has to read it. And like, that's just so political, so political.
Any
Like
other
the one part
questions?
I do agree with, again, is all the signatures. You should have the option to sign. I agree with that. But as far as the extra stuff,
Wait, I'm sorry, Councilwoman James has
Yes,
something
ma'am.
first.
I was going to piggyback on what Councilman Gutierrez said, because that was something that I had highlighted as well. It was the mayor and or, so if the mayor and or is going to be removed, then that's fine. And then I would also say that, this issue has come up before, and it doesn't keep us from recognizing our people that we want to recognize, but as a whole, I thank Dr. Cooper for enlightening us, because a lot of things that we were doing that were not wrong, that were not, 100% correct, as he has given us information to move us forward, to get us on the right track, to make sure that whatever we're doing according to the way it needs to be done. So I do agree with the information but that was the one thing that I had highlighted as well on there, as far as the procedure is concerned.
Okay, Councilman Mears.
Well, I just like the council to remember. I mean, this is one of the highest awards or proclamations that we can give to people for outstanding efforts and job well done and all this. And it just seems to me that we don't need to give them, the more you give them out, the less it gets to be the importance of what it stands for. I feel like it needs to be something above and beyond. It doesn't need to be General Joe Doe, whatever. If we don't want to, if we need to come up with another way of recognizing people for what they've done under that. But when you give somebody a proclamation from the city acknowledging, you're giving them the highest honor, I feel, that the city can give to a person. So when you give one over here may have done something, a miracle, then you give one over here that maybe didn't do as much. So we don't want to get to the point of giving them out to where we weaken what the proclamation stands for. That's
and
all
I
I got.
Thank you.
agree
Wait, I'm sorry,
100%.
Councilman Gutierrez had a question or
I just
comment.
want to know what's it going to read now, Mike? Then what is it?
based on that change, it would just say a veto-proof majority of the city council shall have the right to modify or deny a proclamation request consistent with the policy.
So we would have to get permission from the.
For a proclamation on behalf of the entire city, it would be, the council would have to agree to it. You need 4.
Any other questions or comments?
Yeah,
4 and not 3? I'm sorry.
4.
Why?
That's the veto-proof majority, because 4,
Can it just not say the majority?
can you just not get approval? Like,
the intent was to try to make sure that any proclamation had wide consensus. And so we wouldn't have 3-2 situations and vetoes and things like that. It's meant to bring you all closer together and not have something to fight about. And so
that can be. So if you have someone that want to give a proclamation to somebody that's very deserving of that proclamation, and then this person may not like this person, and so, oh, well, I'm not gonna support that. That's what it's gonna bring. So it's not helping.
Any other questions or comments? Item 4, council discussion on approving a code of conduct ordinance. Background and history. An ordinance of the city of Forest Park, Georgia, to include a code of conduct within the code of ethics for officials. This governing body is comprised of individuals with a wide variety of backgrounds, personalities, values, opinions, and goals. Despite this diversity, each governing body member has chosen to serve in public office to preserve and protect the present and the future of the city of Forest Park. This common goal should be acknowledged even as governing body members may agree to disagree on contentious issues. It is for the purpose stated above that the attached Code of Conduct ordinance is brought forth for discussion and approval of the City Council. Any questions or comments or discussion on this?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
So again, something else political. I don't know if you all had a chance to read the entire thing, but they want to control a council member's look on their face. They want to control everything a council member says. So if somebody is standing up there talking and I'm sitting up here writing notes, I broke the law if I'm not looking into their eyes. And our city attorney wrote that. Like, so I just, to the residents, make sure y'all read everything because this stuff is very, very, very political. If I say something and they don't like the way I said it, or if Councilman Gutierrez say something and they don't like the way they said, then you broken the law. That's crazy. It's crazy. We have a freedom of speech. We can say what we please. And if you don't like it, you don't like it. You know, but who are you to take away what my rights, basically? Mike, because you wrote it. I don't know who had you to wrote it, but who are you to take away my rights as an elected official, as a human, to tell me I can't look a certain way or I can't speak a certain way? You don't have that much authority.
Before you answer that, are there any other questions or comments?
Yes, I wanted to, I highlighted a couple things on here. I too think that this is very, 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 I don't know what the correct word is, but I just, a lot of things on here I don't agree with completely. I do agree with the fact that we have to have some kind of decorum, and I think we do have things that are already in place. In fact, I went back through our charter and looked at some of the things that we have in place to kind of alleviate, I think maybe how this is coming back about us. But one of the things I really wanted to highlight is on page 27, when it talks about legal advice, and it says before requesting research or other actions by the city council, the governing body members are encouraged to consider consulting with the city manager or obtain the concurrence of the governing body to ascertain whether the request or action can be accomplished more cost effectively or alternative means. And I completely, I circled it and put a big question mark on there. I completely disagree with that because oftentimes we pay our city attorney a flat fee. So it's not costing the city any additional funds for me to contact our city attorney and ask him a specific advice on certain things. And I do that a lot when it comes to policies and procedures and things that I want to get going. I'm always going to make sure that what I'm doing is in my legal realms of doing it. So that statement right there is I just don't agree with that at all. In there. But again, the whole concept of this particular document is like really, to me, really, really petty with a lot of the stuff that's in there. I think that one of the things that I had done back in the past when I wanted a code of conduct or decorum of some kind established, I wanted to establish what the it was the consequences to certain violations. This, I think, does not speak to any consequences at all. This kind of just speaks to, these are the things that you should do. And, and to me, it almost kind of makes me look like I'm a child. I don't know how to control. I don't have any self-control. I don't know how to respect the chair in running the meeting. And we already have something in place, in my opinion, in our charter that speaks to the authority that the chair has to alleviate some of the issues. And I think that, we just need to make sure that we as a council understand that you have these rights and you have these authorities to exercise without having to put all of this language in place.
Yes, and I would concur. While I would like something establishing order, and then in reviewing the charter over the weekend, it spells it out, but again, with no consequences. And so it brought back to, a couple of incidences with Mike, when I was trying to remove an elected official, you gave the interpretation that as chair, which Robert rules and the charter both say that if someone is ruled out of order and is repeated after the proper warning, then the council can vote to have that person removed. And so I'm not seeing where that's at in the charter or Robert's rules. So how is it that you have that interpretation?
In Robert's rules, the chair has the ability generally to enforce order and can remove, but that ruling of the chair can always be appealed to the body. And then the body could vote to overturn the ruling of the chair. So that's the interpretation that or the advice I gave a couple years back when this was going on. I can pull you a compendium of rules and in terms of how to appeal the ruling of the chair, because I can get that for you. If I could speak just broadly to what you have in front of you, this policy, everything beginning, from code of conduct down under Exhibit A, was already approved by the council last April as a policy and not part of the ordinance. You may recall that at the time you adopted the model ethics ordinance from GMA, you also considered this, and you had an option A, which was to establish it as an aspirational policy that this is what we kind of want to expect from each other. And then option B at the time was make it part of the actual ordinance. And so what's brought back to you now is essentially option B. And under section 1, it says a violation of the attached code of conduct is actionable under section 2-6-5W of the code of ordinances. And that's in the ethics ordinance, where it says any violation of an ordinance of the city can be referred to the ethics committee for action. Now, under your ethics ordinance, there are only two consequences. You mentioned consequences. What happens if a complaint goes to the ethics board and they adjudicate it and they determine that, yeah, this was a violation, they only have really, it's really one, but it's broken out in two. They can recommend to the council that a censure or reprimand be made, or they can recommend removal. And so those are the only things that the ethics committee can do. Then it's back before the councils, back before you all to make the ultimate decision. And, this goes back to self-regulation but this would establish, and obviously we can change this and modify it because, some of the points I totally get, but this was meant to be that standard by which you make a determination in the future. And so a lot of these are just examples. And folks have talked to me about the way I look sometimes and the faces I make. And I totally get that some things are just, we could probably modify, but in general, it's meant to be a guide. And I've said before that, in practicing for 20 years, dealing with ethics complaints and things like that, and I've said it in public, I just, I'm concerned about ethics ordinances being abused for political purposes. And I would not want that to happen here at all. But in terms of having some guide for how you behave, again, you've already approved this and we can make changes and we can bring it back to get it to exactly where you want it to be.
You just contradicted everything you said because you said how this stuff can be political. All of this is political. Like every bit of it is political. We have an ethics board. We adopted the GMA code of conduct. We have all of that in place. So why is this needed? It's not. It's not. I mean, you're saying to establish some type of, like, come on now, how somebody look, like, who's going to determine if they didn't like the way mirrors look, or they didn't like the way Councilwoman Wells was writing notes while somebody was up there speaking? Who's going to determine it? It's political.
Well, and
So
so let me respond, please. So it is important that we maintain decorum. I don't think anyone in here can dispute that. And so having something to make sure that we're able to maintain decorum. And so I do admit this seems a bit juvenile, but again, after going back and reviewing our charter, I feel a lot of this is spelled out. And so it was having something to balance and then what this is missing, as to Councilwoman James's point, was like, there's no consequences. And so I know I don't have a poker face at all. So having someone trying to look at my facial expressions to determine how I'm feeling, again, is a bit juvenile, but there needs to be something concrete that can hold us all accountable for our actions.
We have it. We have the ethics board. We have
Councilman Gutierrez has
GMA.
something.
I think, honestly, Mayor, I think you do a great job at regulating the meeting. If this was a problem, I mean, apparently I was like a minute late last time and I missed the altercation, but I just haven't seen, I think you do an outstanding job of keeping us all on track. And then, as a vet, like, I'm all about freedoms. And I think I don't want something to regulate what Councilwoman James is writing or the faces she's making. If she feels a certain way, the people voted for her to be up here and represent them and feel however she wants to feel. She represents a section of Forest Park. And, I just think, like, if it was a problem, and I feel like if you weren't running the meetings, if it was really interfering with business, then I would support this. But at this time, I don't think it's necessary.
Any other questions or comments?
Yes, Madam Mayor. I'll just make one quick comment. I echo the sentiments. Also, I think that I'll just reiterate that we already have things in place. I think that at this point moving forward, and I think this is a good conversation for us to have. But I wouldn't be in favor of making this move, but to highlight what Mike was saying about the consequences that we already have spelled out. Are you saying that the item that we approved before with the code of conduct is not a ordinance?
It's not part of the ordinance. It's just a policy of the council for guidance.
Okay. Okay.
Can somebody file an ethics complaint if somebody breaks that policy?
No, because it's not listed in the ethics ordinance as something that's actual under the ethics ordinance. This would basically list it under the ethics ordinance.
Madam Mayor. So what my suggestion would be is the item that we already approved to be a part of the policy, that would be placed in the ordinance as opposed to all these extra little nuances with the face and all that, because I don't remember that at all being in.
But that's what I was saying. This was what you all approved, what you have in front of you now, that.
With the facial expressions and all of that
Yeah,
stuff?
there are examples, and we can modify that. I'm not, saying that you can't change it, but my point is that those are illustrative examples. It doesn't mean if you make a funny face or something that you can be charged with an ethics. You got to read it. You got to read it in context with what's going on. So we can make amendments. We can adjust it, or you can table it. We can bring it back.
So yeah, I would be in favor of tabling it because my thing is I don't remember, and I was desperately trying to find over the weekend the GMA standards that we adopted, and I can't see that GMA has all this stuff in there. I just don't remember it.
But again, this is the code of conduct portion is not part of the GMA model ordinance.
Okay.
This is in addition to.
Okay. All right. So the code. Okay. So, Madam Mayor, so the code of conduct GMA portion, that is not part of our ordinance. Is that what you're saying?
The GMA model ordinance that has all the standards for ethical
Mhm.
behavior
Mhm.
is part of your ordinance.
Okay.
The GMA ordinance does not address just general conduct.
Okay. Okay. All right. So, Madam Mayor, with that said, I don't think this is necessarily needed because we have a GMA code of conduct that's a part of our ordinance. If there is something that's violated, as Attorney Mike said, there is something that we can forward on. I think that there is consequences if it's a part of our ordinance that we can move on past. And then also just to piggyback on something that was said before, and Mike clarified it. If there is an occasion, and hopefully there will not be any more occasions, but if there is an occasion where you as a chair or whoever is running the meeting as the chair has to ask someone to be removed because they've been verbally warned. I think the charter says they give a verbal warning, and then if it's repeated, you can ask them to leave. That is when they are asked to leave at that point, they have to go. You don't have to get a vote for them to go. The thing is in the charter, it says that they have to go. And then if they want to appeal, then they can appeal and we can vote on the appeal. But the point is they have to go.
Any other questions or comments? Yes.
Mike, can you clarify, because you said this is part of their policy. With them changing, they would have to basically vote this out of the policy, right? Because this is currently the policy that is on the books that you gave me, right?
Yes, so again, we can make adjustments and what have you, but this is an aspirational policy.
All right, item 5, council discussion on candidates for the Development Authority Board. Background and history. Candidates for consideration for appointment to the Development Authority Board. There is only one vacancy on this board. The candidates are as follows: Felicia Davis, Blake Joyner, Jacqueline Faith, Jasmine Julio, Tyree Nunez, and Bennett Joyner. So I'll open it up for discussion, but some discussion may be reserved for executive session. So just let us know if it crosses that line.
Well,
All of it.
I would suggest, because I don't know what will be said, so I would suggest if you want to have an executive session, you do all this back there.
Okay. Well, I would like to say something. Just
tell me if it's executive session worthy, because I want to be transparent with the people. So one thing that we did, first of all, the Development Authority is an appointed board. They're not filling out for a job. These are residents of the city of Forest Park. They have a right to serve on the board. And so when Mr. City Manager asked me for a resume, because I wanted to appoint Ms. Felicia Davis, who was very overqualified, first of all, for a resume, I thought that was kind of out of order. And you didn't speak on that, so I would like for you to speak on that too. When did we start doing resumes for our residents to be appointed to a board? And I don't know where the other names came from, but we do have one position that's open, and this is just me speaking so that the public, you know, we do have one position open, one slot open on the Development Authority, but our city manager called everyone to see if they had anybody that they wanted to appoint
That
to
is
the board.
incorrect, but go ahead, Mike.
So I just want to put that out there. We don't have to get resumes for our residents to be on boards that they are needed on. And if that is so, when did that change? And does everybody on all of these boards that we have a resume on file?
So I don't know if there are resumes on file for any of these candidates. In the past, you have not always required resumes. There have been times where folks have asked, well, who is this? What do we know about? And we have gotten resumes, but there's not been a consistent policy on that.
To Councilwoman Wells' statement, yes, I did ask for a resume. It wasn't required. Because historically, in my experience from where I came from, other cities I've worked in, there is a formal application process for any resident that wish to serve on a board. And it's not to say that you shouldn't be there. It's not to say that you're not qualified to be there. It's for the council. My job is to provide this council with all the information I can for them to make a well-informed decision. I did ask for a resume. Councilwoman Wells basically told me they never did in the past, and I said, that's fine. We'll move forward without it. It was stated that I called people. I called no one. Other members of this council approached me about members, and I asked them the same thing. Would you like to provide a resume? They got resumes. So that's the information that as it was done, and we have the emails and everything to show that. Thank you.
Thank you,
Okay,
Councilwoman James.
So I just want to just make sure that I put this out there for the residents to know. You know, we talk about moving forward and progressing and making our city better. I think that we did a great decision with our city manager, Dr. Cooper, and he has enlightened us on a lot of things, which is helping us to move forward and to grow and to be better and to be to move from where we were to where we need to be. And I think, you know, even like with the, you know, the mention of the what the proclamation means and what it stands for and how it represents the city, et cetera. And even to ask that, you know, board members submit resumes, and I was, as I was looking through the book and I said, oh, wow. And I actually reached out, and I hope you don't mind me mentioning, do you? No? Yes, okay. So I reached out because I did notice there's only two names on the list that I recognize and I know. And I noticed that there wasn't a resume. So I reached out and I asked, about that, why wasn't it there or what have you. And so this person did not have a resume, but they said that they have a bio. And I said, oh, that would be great, But the point that I'm trying to make is that, if we want to say we want to move forward and grow our city, we can't keep doing the same thing that we've always done. We have to allow our city manager to bring his experts and his knowledge into what we're doing so that we can grow and get better. I don't see anything wrong with providing a resume or providing a bio or whatever the case may be, so that we are more informed as a council, are more informed with the positions that we appoint. And so that's all I have to say about that.
But at the same time, while we're doing that and trying to move forward, we need to be consistent. So if you're gonna ask for one person's resume, make sure everybody on all the other boards got it. You know, you just can't single-handedly point someone out and say, I want their resume because they want to be appointed to this board. If that's what we're gonna do, which I don't have an issue with it, it's a good idea because people just throw anybody on boards. But we need to be consistent and make sure that's for everybody. So,
Yes, and at the last appointment for the DDA and the URA, I believe it was even Councilman Gutierrez that asked if there was a resume for the last appointment, in which there was some. It was provided. And I think there is another appointment for the DA trying to be made at that time, in which that person did not have a resume or bio provided. And so that discussion was had then.
I appreciate personally the resumes. Forest Park, you should be excited. Like there's some candidates here that I wish I knew them. Like I honestly only know 3 of them, but I had my candidate, but after, going over some of the other candidates, I changed my mind because I just think that this person is a better fit for the board. But it's just, it's exciting to see these people, and no offense to the people that are on the boards now, but a lot of the people have been here for a while, and there's nothing against the past. It's just, we're a diverse city, and there's nothing wrong with rotating and bringing in new talents and new ideas to get better. So I'm excited about this discussion that we're going to have as a council.
Any other questions or comments? All right, if there are none, the remaining agenda for tonight would be as follows. We will have the call to order in a couple of minutes here, followed by the invocation by Dr. Beeler with Gateway Restoration Church, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Thereafter, we'll have the roll call, followed by public comments. We will adopt the agenda with any deletions or additions to it. Afterwards, we'll have the approval of minutes from the budget hearing on June 16th, the work session from June 21st, and a special called meeting on June 25th. Then we have the following agenda items for consideration. Council approval to continue the stipends for first responders during COVID-19 crisis. Council approval of resolution 2021-20 to revise the policy for City of Forest Park proclamation request. Council approval to adopt Code of Conduct Ordinance 2021-10, and council approval for the Development Authority Board. And then we will be going into executive session. So is there a motion to adjourn the work session?
So moved.
That was Councilman Mears. Is there a second? That was Councilman Gutierrez. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, opposed? All right, thank you. And so we're going to jump right into the work session. It is 7:08. I'm sorry, the regular meeting, yes. The regular meeting for mayor and council for July 6th is called to order. All those who are able to stand, can you please do so and remain standing throughout the Pledge of Allegiance. And Dr. Beeler, you have the floor, sir.
Thank you. Well, praise the Lord. Thank you for giving me this opportunity, because I truly understand what God is doing. He's changing some things. I love it. I love change, because I know when things change, progress is being made. So let us progress in what God has given us to do. Father, we come boldly to your throne of grace. We come in a new and living way through the blood of Jesus Christ. We come crying Abba to you, Father, for truly you are our Father and we are your children. Lord, we ask you to help us now as we go forward. Lord, give us wisdom. Give us understanding. And Lord, we ask you to show us, Lord, where to get the knowledge that we need, Lord. Lord, we ask you to help us understand, Lord. Is it easier to push or pull a boulder up the hill? We don't know, but you do. Lord, we pray that this boulder that we're trying to deal with is the unity of this city. Show us how to get there, Lord. Lord, I ask you to bless us that we might think global and act local. Help us desire and bless the least of us, Lord, that we all may grow together and be a benefit to each and every one. Bless us, Lord. Lord, I pray that you would help us develop a good heart. For it's written in your word that life comes out of the issues of the heart, Lord. Lord, give us a good heart, that the issues that flow out of us would be those, Lord, that is directed towards the benefit of each and every one that lives and works and play and enjoy and breathe the air of this city. In Jesus' name, amen. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ms. White, roll call, please.
Good evening. Roll call for tonight's regular council meeting, July 6th. Councilmember James,
Present.
Councilmember Anton,
Good evening, everybody.
Councilmember Gutierrez, Councilmember Akins Wells, Councilmember Mears.
Here.
Mayor and council, you have a quorum.
All right, thank you. We have our public comments for the charter. 3 minutes is allotted per person. And we have 6 people that have signed up. We will start with Ms. Thomas. Ms. Joanne Thomas. And then let me just remind everyone, oh, you come on up, ma'am, to direct all comments to the chair.
Good evening, everyone.
Good
evening.
Joanne Thomas, Forest Park, Georgia.
I'm sorry, Ms. Diane, are you? Okay.
This is to the chair. I would like to know what happened to the URA board from the beginning. Why do we not have a URA any longer?
Mhm.
Why?
I'll address it during my closing comment.
Didn't hear you.
I'll address your question to me during my closing comments.
And I would also like to know why how are we operating with the Army on the contract with them at Fort Gillard, concerning Gillard.
Do you have any more questions? Because I need
Yes, ma'am.
clarification on, okay, I'll have clarification on, I need clarification on that question.
Okay. And why have the URA board did not research? Why haven't it been finished since it was going on since 2010 and now it's 2021? And last, I have contacted the state of Georgia concerning the URA board of Forest Park. I'm waiting on them to get back with me, and they told me they would this week. Because if an agenda is required by law, and it was not done per meetings that was held in the past. Why? And where can I find that it was done by law? Because also there was 4 members back in 2020, I believe, that was removed from that board. And power was given to the DDA. It's all online. And the Urban Redevelopment Authority regular meeting in 6/24/21. Please explain that.
Yes, ma'am. Doing my closing comments.
Okay. And also, the meeting that was held between Park at Fort Gillum and supposed to have been legal teams. I would like to know, ma'am, why you did not excuse yourself, since we was told this was supposed to be between legal teams and the residents. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Ms. Davis?
Okay. So to the chair, let me first say to Ms. Thomas's comment that I did serve on the URA board. I do have some history, and yes, there were challenges with residents, but there is a record, and we did keep one, and we did function according to all rules and procedures. And the disbanding also happened to the extent possible. That's all I'll say on that. But there were issues. I wanted to say to our city manager, but through the chair, that I was pleased to have my councilwoman nominate me. Another councilwoman called me saying, you ought to have a resume. And I'm like, I'm not looking for a job, but I do have a bio. And, but I was going to withdraw it because, like Councilman Gutierrez, I was so impressed with the others on the list. And I too love new blood. So then, having been called by a few people, I found, well, let me stand down, leave my name on the list, and let y'all go in the back and figure that out. So, but I'm happy any way that it might go. So that's that comment. Then I wanted to address proclamations, decorum, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So there's a part of leadership that can't be legislated. And that's even though we must have good policy, okay? But you can have the best policy. Leadership and getting along as a body is a two-way street. And I addressed that through the chair, but to all of the members. And so pettiness is something that we each individually have to check ourselves to set aside and then get to the broader issue. I would also say that some people speak how they speak. Okay, so in some situations, my vernacular changes. So, because why you want to do me that? I don't want to do you nothing. I ain't trying to have it, show you right. I mean, we can go there. So there's a time and a way that different people speak. But if we search for the meaning and extract that out, we get to a better place. And if we can set aside ego in that moment, okay? Because who matters most in this room is sitting over here. So for those serving, I take that piece of leadership profoundly. So servant leadership is what we're looking for. Oh, good. Saved by the bell.
Mr. Pellegrini? Good evening. All right, thank you. Ms. Crawford? Sorry?
That was to speak.
Oh, okay. Ms. Ms. Falami?
Good evening.
Is it on? Not the bottom part.
Okay, good evening, everyone, in their proper places and all the resident behind me. I rise because I was listening to you about the rescue fund. I heard all about your audits, your charter, your bylaws, your GMA, and that's why you guys was elected by us. And those things should already be appointed. Now that you all are kudos and Mr. Cooper, I hope y'all listen to him as he tried to instruct you to take you further, because numerous times we have heard you tell other city managers the very much same thing. So let's show by action. I want to go to the rescue fund. I want to talk about the Forest Park Police Department. That is the solely part of our city after these operation hours are closed, followed by the MES Fire Department. Those are our focus I moved to Forest Park, and you don't heard me say this many times, but the Forest Park Police Department and the Forest Park Fire Department. I hope and consider with these rescue funds, all this money being allocated down to our city, that they are becoming more compatible. They feel that their income can sustain their welfare daily and make them feel that they are coming to a job that will respect them because they are first on site. And to our public work, kudos to you. You all do an amazing job. I don't think you need a bonus. A bonus is a one-time act. I think that you should, as the manager, evaluate your staff and get with whom, Mr. Cooper, to give them a raise. A bonus is only temporary. Let them reflect on each week or every bi-week or month they get paid, that they can go home and feel their service is well appreciated. And I'm here along with some of my neighbors. We love public work. We never seen public work do nothing but do the best they can do. Now, every now and then they fall short, but they apologize. But I definitely want you to look at our police officer. You all do whatever it takes, not to give them a bonus, give them a raise. And as I go forward before my minutes expire, when it comes to us making our comments, let us make our comments. We directly to the mayor. We know we may call your name, possibly. Don't take it personal. We're your check writer. Rewrite your check. We elected y'all. Stop wasting 7-8 minutes, rebutting back on us. But when we get ready to rebut, we out of order. So again, make sure you hold your temperament for your resident, because it called a two-way respect. When it come time for you all to sit and agree, maybe you shouldn't get in a quorum. Maybe you should just go to lunch and iron out your situation you got going on. It's too much personal. It's personal. And we sit out here and we look at it, we get sleepy, we get discouraged. We listened for 6 to 3 hours about a sign that Latricia had placed for an event. That was ridiculous. We sit and look at you all challenge our mayor as she take charge of her diet. We sick of it. We sick and looking at each and every you all saying, oh, we working together. But out here, we can't tell. We cannot tell. No matter how I feel about each and every one of you, I know how to put away my personal, I know how to put away my emotion, and I know how to take care of business. Business for this city is first. We don't have a problem with change. We just want change to be equal to all. If one get a change, everybody gets a change. We got an ethics board. People hadn't been up before the ethics, and the ethics board need to be revisited. How can we go up to the ethics board when you all are the ethics board? Somebody help me out. I don't know. I want to have some church, Dr. B. No, I'm just playing. But what we see happening here is we proud of what we see, but we disappointed in your action. And your action is you're too combative and rebuttal against each other. I yield my time back. I think I got it. All right.
Ms. Walker, you have the floor, ma'am.
Thank you. My name is Ms. Arvis Walker, and I am the proud PTSA president of Forest Park High School, national PTSA. And I've been the president since 2016. So guys, last year was my last year. So I will be going out this year. But I'm proud to say that I'm going out, and I'm praying and hoping that I left Forest Park High School PTSA so much better than where I received it. And with that being said, I couldn't do it by myself. You know, just like you guys, you can't work by yourself. You have to work together, just like Dr. LaFami just said. You have to work together. I mean, we're not gonna all, and I'm not gonna preach either, Pastor, but we're not always gonna agree. We have to agree to disagree. And you disagree behind the doors. I didn't even come here for this, y'all, but I came here for something else. But I love each and every one of you. And I love Forest Park. I'm here. I was chosen. I didn't come here on my own. I came here as a messenger. You know, I'm a messenger. I was chosen as a messenger, and I'm a messenger to one of my friends. Without this friend, Forest Park High School PTSA would not be what it is today. And I'm so grateful to my Councilwoman James. I gotta hurry up because I know I probably got a minute now. Let me get this out real quick.
Just direct it to the chair, please.
Okay, sorry about that. Okay, so let me get this out. I was chosen to read this from some of the citizens of Forest Park from all wards. This is, we appreciate and honor Forest Park Councilwoman Kimberly James. We speak not only for Ward 1, we represent the city of Forest Park. We say this because you have done so much for all of us who reached out to you. No matter what ward we lived in, you are dedicated, thoughtful, and considerate council person. It makes no difference the color, the size, the creed, or the nationality. You are always to do whatever you can for all of us who make up this great city. You know it is not easy dealing with so many different attitudes, but you hang in there. It is evident your presence becomes your patience comes from raising 4 beautiful, well-mannered children and working in the school system. The oath you took when you became a council person were not just words to you. You live by that oath every single day. We love you, we appreciate you, and if there's anything we can do for you, let us know. Citizens of Forest Park, July 6, 2021. Thank you.
All right, that was beautiful. Is there a motion to adopt the agenda? That was Councilman Mears. Is there a second? That was Councilman Gutierrez. Any discussion? Councilwoman James?
I do have a discussion. Did for the veto majority approve that award for Councilwoman James?
Governing body. That's beautiful.
Oh, wait. Yes, I'm going somewhere. No.
Okay, Councilwoman James,
Okay, what? I'm sorry.
we're adopting the agenda.
Oh,
I'm
yes.
doing a roll call vote.
Yes.
Councilman Antoine,
Yes.
Councilman Gutierrez,
Yes.
Councilwoman Wells, and Councilman Mears. Thank you. Approval from the minutes for the following meetings. Has everyone reviewed the minutes, and are there any changes to be recommended to the budget hearing minutes from June 16th, the work session minutes from June 21st, and a special call meeting on June 25th? Are there any changes to be recommended? If there are, I'm sorry? No, okay. If there are none, is there a motion to group said minutes together and approve as is?
So move.
That was Councilwoman James. Is there a second? That was Councilman Gutierrez. Any further discussion? Councilwoman James?
Yes.
Councilman Antoine?
Aye.
Councilman Gutierrez?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wells?
Yes.
And Councilman Mears?
Yes.
Okay, item 2, council approval to continue the stipend for first responders during the COVID-19 crisis. Is there a motion on this item?
I make a motion to approve.
That was Councilwoman James' motion to approve. Is there a second? Councilman Gutierrez, any discussion? Councilwoman
Yes.
James?
Yes.
Wait, I'm sorry. Councilman Antoine, do you have a discussion?
Yes, going back to what Councilman Hector said, is this gonna be both ways where we could do a stipend now and then do a pay raise or one-time bonus later on?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Councilwoman James?
Yes.
Councilman Antoine?
Yes.
Councilman Gutierrez?
Someone better take me out to lunch. Yes.
Councilwoman Wells?
Yes.
And Councilman Mears?
Yes.
Okay, item 3, council approval of resolution 2021-20 to revise the policy for the City of Forest Park proclamation request. Is there a motion to approve this item?
I make a motion, we approve.
That was Councilwoman James. Is there a second?
I second.
That was Councilman Mears. Any further discussion?
Madam Mayor, just to, for clarification, there was a suggestion that that change be made. Is the motion with that change?
I thought he mentioned that the change was already there. He just didn't put it in there. Is that,
Well, because it showed up on the item.
In the- okay.
Motion with the change.
okay, so Madam Mayor, I withdraw my motion.
Okay, that motion was withdrawn. Would you like to restate the motion?
Yes.
Okay.
I make a motion that we approve the item with the change of adding or taking away the mayor and/or on the procedure process.
I'd like to make a motion.
Wait, we already have a motion on the floor.
I know.
So we
But
need
still,
to
you can
deal
make a
with that
motion on
motion.
top of it.
We need to deal with that motion first.
It needs a second. Haven't heard.
Is there a second for the motion for Councilwoman James?
Second.
That was Councilman Mears. Any discussion?
Yeah,
Yes. Yes, sir.
I currently, I definitely am in agreement of having a policy for this. But going back to reality and the maturity level of some of the people up here, I don't think that if we have a veto majority, we're gonna pass anything. And I am all about recognizing our citizens, so I am not agreeing with this because I don't agree with the veto majority. And I know what you mean, Mike, of having a unison, but it's just unfortunate not here, and it can be all nice and dandy, but then when it comes to it, it's not there. So I'm not in support of this.
So I would like to amend that motion, to strike that agenda item altogether and make it to where, and change it to where mayor and council members have full autonomy to exercise proclamations, recognitions at their discretion, and any member has the option as whether to sign it individually or collectively. I think that's more proper. That's my motion.
You can make that motion after this one is dispensed with. So there's a motion and a second that's got to be dealt with. And as soon as it is, you can still make that motion.
I have a point of discussion. As far as the veto-proof majority, it is that the council as a majority can go ahead and approve a proclamation. The veto-proof majority is if there is a recommendation to make any changes, according to what's read. So it doesn't require a veto-proof majority to approve a proclamation. It only requires a veto-proof majority to make a modification or deny a proclamation.
And then as well, it states in there that you can't read it, like all of that is the mayor. I'm not giving up my duties as a council member because people want to be political. So I would be in favor of allowing everybody the option to sign a proclamation, but not to take away my rights as a council member. And two, while we're having a discussion, I just want to reiterate what a proclamation is, because everybody's just trying to make it seem like, oh, it's this formal thing, and oh, the mayor is the only person that can read it, because that's what we will be voting on, as well as getting approval to give one. So a proclamation is an unofficial announcement made in public. Proclamation is the noun form of the verb proclaim, meaning to announce or declare something in an official or formal manner. Proclamations are typically made by public officials. Like the similar word announcement, proclamation is often used with the verb make. Example, the mayor called a press conference to issue a proclamation declaring an official citywide day of celebration for the new champions of baseball. That's what a proclamation is. I shouldn't have to come and get permission from nobody to give anybody in the city of Forest Park a proclamation. So again, my motion still stands, like we can do whatever the majority feels the need to do on this one, but neither one of us or any elected official anywhere should have to go and get permission or hand their duties over to another elected official when we were voted.
Hold on, Councilman Gutierrez. You have something
Yeah,
to
I just
say?
had, can we just change that where the person, whoever issue is, can read it? Cause that, that,
Yeah.
Yes, you can.
yeah.
So what would it be? Can you state exactly what it would be for the record? Because like this is all political mess. And it's sad that we have so many other things to work on, and this is what we are focused on.
And I just want to make sure that it is known that it says the mayor and or mayor pro tem or a designee. So it
that's
doesn't
not-
necessarily mean that it's going to be the mayor or the mayor pro tem or anyone. It could be anyone reading it.
If it's
but-
voted on.
If the proclamation is approved, yes, it could be anyone reading it.
No, it shouldn't have to get approval. We elected officials. That's within our elected duties.
Councilman
Can
Antoine
we-
has something to say.
Can we take that out where we don't need approval from the majority, where we all could just come together and do it together? Like, is that possible? Without getting like approval?
That's what my
For
motion
what
stated.
portion of it? What are you talking about? Yeah.
Like I heard, Councilman Wells said the mayor and council could be able to issue a proclamation without without a vote. I thought since the mayor and council could do that, I think that's better, so we all have a chance to do it. And by the way, I never gave a proclamation out, so I think like we all should be able to have the freedom to do that.
Any other questions or comments?
Is that not the case, how it's written, or no?
Yeah.
How it's currently written, it provides for when proclamations are actually given, it just states that the mayor or their designee reads the proclamation. And that can change if that's the desire of the council.
I'm talking about the approval part. Because Councilwoman James mentioned that the veto thing is just to edit it or something. I'm just confused now. So what, do we need approval from everybody to issue a proclamation, or we don't?
That's the intent of the way it was worded, is that it would be approved by everyone.
I'm gonna,
Just fix where we just edit it, or just fix where we all have the right to do.
I'm gonna call for the vote now. Councilwoman James,
Yes.
Councilman Antoine,
What are we voting on?
What is the point of order? What is the vote? What is the motion?
the motion on the floor was to approve the proclamation request with the changes recommended, which was striking out, I gotta go to it. The veto, what is it, the mayor portion, what page was that?
Page 18.
Which it will just read that the veto-proof majority of the city council shall have the right to modify or deny any proclamation request consistent with this policy.
So that means that 4 people would have to deny the proclamation for it not to go through?
No, they
Or
would have to
approve.
vote for it.
You wouldn't
Oh,
necessarily.
we still have to vote, yeah, that's, so, yeah, I'm not in favor on that.
Okay, sorry, Mike.
So the built into this is when a request is made, it is distributed to the entire council so that you all have an opportunity to weigh in before a proclamation is actually given. So that's where it's intended to have, the support of the whole council, and that's where the veto proof language comes into play.
So you're saying again, that we would have to get permission from everybody. If I want to give it out, if Councilwoman James want to give it out, you need to get permission before you do it. That's what this is stating, to be clear.
If it's a proclamation issued on behalf of the entire city, that's the way it's worded. It does not prevent individual council members from giving letters of congratulations, certificates of appreciation, any of the other things in your individual capacity. This is only meant to address proclamations issued on behalf of the entire city.
Not right, sis.
So Mike, so it's so in essence, if you don't mind the proclamation, it's only if you want to deny it then, or you would have to
Modify it.
vote or modify it. But you can, if it's something that you don't mind, then it's not like you don't have to weigh in on it.
Correct.
So we got Councilwoman James's vote. Councilman Antoine,
Favor of that one.
Councilman Gutierrez, Councilman Mears.
No,
All right. Oh, Councilwoman Wells.
no.
So that was 3-2. That did not pass.
I'd like to make a point of order on that.
State your point, please. Yeah, state your point, please.
A proclamation is supposed to be something, an honor that this council or the city, with the power that the city gives this council, to give to a citizen. And if we're gonna make it the highest honor that we can give, we all need to sign it.
That's
I mean,
what
I don't understand why we won't, just to make a point on, Councilman Wells, why would I want a proclamation and to give to somebody to honor them and me be the only person to sign it?
we just vote
That's
on it.
like, I'm the only one in the city that thinks you deserve it.
Yes, sir.
Everybody needs to be on board and sign something that we honor our citizens with, and not just one or two or three or maybe or whatever.
Councilman,
You
yeah.
take the lust out of the award when you start splitting people off of it.
And
Okay,
that's-
thank you. Yes,
Excuse me,
ma'am.
Mayor, but that's
Mhm.
exactly what I just said. Everybody just want a signature. That don't mean you have to come and get permission. You just want the option to sign it or not, which is okay. But to say that I gotta come get permission from you when I represent Ward 4 and you represent Ward 5, I don't have to get permission for you. I work for the residents. We work for the residents. We don't have to get permission from other elected officials to do nothing. So I'm all in favor, and that's why I want to amend the agenda and add that when, I'm sorry. It's, oh, I'm sorry. Yes. So I would like to make a motion that any elected official can give a proclamation, but give the other council members and the mayor the option to sign.
All right,
That's
there's a,
it.
I have a
there's a
question.
motion on the floor. Wait, let's get a second first. Is there a second?
I have a question before
Wait,
the second.
wait, no, I need to get a second first before we move on. Then we
Can
can do the discussion. So are you seconding this motion?
Yes.
Okay, seconded by Councilman Gutierrez. Now it's open for discussion. You have the floor.
Thank you, Mayor. So is this everything else on the policy is still the same? And we're putting what Councilwoman Wells says, we're taking out the conditions then?
No, we voted that down, right?
Yes.
And this is a whole nother agenda item.
And I didn't write it down to even repeat it.
So we're not,
Repeat it one more time, please.
I would like to make it to where, to keep it the way it is, any council, any elected official can give a proclamation with the option, the other elected official have the option to whether to sign it or not.
so, but were we keeping like the 15-day, the whole process part?
No, that was voted down.
All of that? So we don't, so are we gonna have a policy then? Because that was a part of the policy, the other stuff.
Well, we can have staff revise any other portions of the policy.
Okay.
But there is this motion that Councilwoman Wells just stated on the table right now. So if you want staff to come back and with another policy that we can
With the,
do,
with the procedural part of how to do it.
yes.
Yeah, I agree with this, with the essence of it, with this. I just want to make sure that we still have all the other stuff because my only problem with the other one was that section.
What
But I
was it?
like the procedural part that we had. About the
Okay.
15 days and bringing it, you know what I'm talking about, Dr. Cooper? Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions or comments or discussion? Councilwoman James?
No.
Councilman Antoine? Councilman Gutierrez?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wells?
Yes.
And Councilman Mears. All right, thank you. Let's see. Item 4, council approval to adopt the Code of Conduct Ordinance 2021-10. Is there a motion on this item?
I'll make a motion that we not approve this item.
That-
Second.
Wait, I didn't hear, that we not approve it.
Not approve.
Okay, that was Councilwoman James. Is there a second?
I second.
That was Councilwoman Wells. Any discussion? Councilwoman James?
Yes.
Councilman Antoine? Councilman Gutierrez?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wells?
Yes.
And Councilman Mears?
Yes.
Okay, item 5, council approval for the Development Authority Board appointment. Is there, oh, that's
Ma-
executive session.
Yes.
Okay, so we'll do our closing comments. Councilwoman
I'm
James.
sorry,
Oh, yes,
you
ma'am.
said we're gonna, number 5 is for executive session?
You gotta discuss who we're going to.
But we can't
appoint.
just make the motion of who we want to, well, I'm gonna make the motion that we appoint Felicia Davis to the Development Authority Board.
There's a motion on the floor. Is there a second? That was Councilman Antoine. Any discussion?
So are we not talking in executive session?
Well, it depends on how this motion goes.
But what
Um,
do we need to talk about?
because we have other people that would like to be considered for the board.
Right, and so somebody can make a motion if they have somebody else. If that gets turned down, why we need to go in executive session and talk
Because there are several to discuss. And so we're not having this discussion out in the open. Councilwoman James?
No, Madam Mayor, and I would like to explain that I do choose to have a discussion with the other council members of the other board nominees.
Councilman Antoine?
I said no, but the explanation is I would like to have a discussion with the other council members regarding the nominees for the board.
So, Councilman Antoine, what's your vote?
Miss Felicia Davis.
Councilman Gutierrez?
I want to talk in executive.
That is, no? Okay. Councilwoman Wall? It was 3 no and 2 yes. So we're gonna have our closing comments. Councilwoman James.
Thank everyone for coming out. Appreciate you all. Remember the third Thursday of the month will be the neighborhood meeting. It's going to be a hybrid version. We'll have it on Zoom, and I believe 696, but I have to get approval and make sure that space is available. Also mark your calendars for October the 9th. That's going to be the homecoming, Forest Park Homecoming Parade. We want everyone to participate. You'll be seeing flyers coming out pretty soon on that. And again, thank you. And thank you for honoring me. This was such a surprise. I appreciate it. And I do want to take a picture before you all leave. Thank you.
July 11th, we have the pool event where we watch movies. I invite everybody to come during that time. That's June 11th at the pool. So thank you all for coming in, and God bless.
Thank you everybody for coming out. I appreciate everybody. It's really nice to hear from the community. Ms. Harris, congratulations. I'm sorry, can y'all hear me now? Congratulations, Ms. Harris, on your new endeavors, and I hope you stick around to continue to make the PTA great. Congratulations, Councilwoman Kimberly James. I can attest to your hard work, and I appreciate that you're in that high school. We had a great event. We had a 4th of July themed food truck event. We also had a great meeting here with the residents of Hollander Park. It was great to get so much community input into that. So happy 4th of July. I'm sorry that we put y'all to sleep sometimes. Some of the things up here are not as interesting, I guess, as some other stuff that we got going on, but we're trying our best. So just thank you, and be safe. COVID is still out there. If you haven't been vaccinated, please do. And just continue preaching love, and check on your neighbors. And thank you for coming out.
Thank you, Councilwoman.
Yes, I would like to thank everyone for coming out and dealing with the things that we have going on. Thank you all so much for being patient with us. I also like to thank our employees, and thank you to my husband for being mentioned in the city manager's report. And thank you for all of Public Works hard work, because those guys work really, really hard. So that brings up my next comment as far as raises. Ms. Falami, I thought that was a great idea. We mentioned the merit system maybe 2 years ago, a year ago, and whenever we first got a new HR director, we talked about the merit system so that the people that are deserving of raises can be evaluated and get what they deserve. Because we're giving away money, but everybody don't come to work and work hard and take their job serious. So we had a merit system, we can do it in a better way, as well as a pension. And we talk about being competitive and competing with other cities, and a lot of our employees are leaving, going other places because we don't have one. And that's something that I've been stressing for maybe the last 6 years now. And someone was supposed to be working on that, and we have yet to hear anything. So Dr. Cooper, if you could get an update on what's going on with our employees' pension, so that we don't keep losing valuable employees. Also on July 16th, the next Fun Friday, we will have Casper and the 911 band. We have a good time, and I know it's a lot of stuff going around by Fun Friday, and I just say come and see it for yourself. Come see it for yourself. Fellowship with the community, with your neighbors, and let's have a good time outside of all of this because it's needed once a month. I wish we could do it the whole year. Also, August 20th and 21st, Fun Friday, that Friday, and Forest Park Day is that Saturday. And Forest Park Day is for the entire community. So get your neighbors, bring your tents and your grills out, and let's have a good time. Let's fellowship. Let's show them what Forest Park could really be. And if we all came together with it being Forest Park Day, just because I'm the one that initiated it, along with the community, doesn't mean it's about me. It's about you guys. So tell a friend, tell your neighbors, and let's have a good time. So thank you guys so much for coming out. Hope everyone had a blessed 4th and have a great night.
All right, thank you, Councilman Mears.
I also like to thank everybody for coming. I hope everybody had a good 4th of weekend. I'd like to congratulate the girls soccer team. I noticed on the marquee as I was coming here, they're going to the state playoffs, finals or whatever. We've got a high school over there that we need to be proud of. Every time you turn around, they're in a championship somewhere. The kids are really trying hard, and we really need to support the school because when they come out of school, they turn into grown-ups. So I just want to congratulate them and appreciate everybody coming. Thank you.
All right, Councilwoman Wells.
So I had one more thing I wanted you all to see, wanted the public to see. And this just goes back to the conversation about the employees and working in hazardous situations. I actually myself, and I've been fighting to get waste management out of our community forever, but it seems like I'm fighting a losing battle and I'm fighting by myself. But this is what our residents in Ward 4 have to deal with. This is a picture of the waste. I had no idea it wasn't in an enclosed place. I'm thinking that the smells and all this is just coming from the building, but it's not a building. It's this. And is it more pictures? So that's, these people are coming from all these cities. This dump right here. What's speaking these terms? Y'all to see for yourself what goes on in Ward 4 in the middle of our community, why they have to deal with rats, and why our residents can't have a nice outing at their home because they can't deal with the smell and the loud trucks going up and down the road. We need to do something. And so I wanted y'all to see that, to hopefully encourage y'all council members to get involved and do something, because just because it's not in your ward doesn't mean it's not impacting people.
I have a question.
so-
I'm sorry, can we go back to that? Yeah,
They can hear it, it's fine. That's how it looks every day. So they'll have people come out and haul it away, but it still looks like that. Lamar Drive.
Oh, okay. I did have my comments to Miss Thomas, please. We do currently have a URA board. You asked why we did not have one. Your question on how do we operate with the Army? I didn't quite understand that question, and so I'll ask you for clarification. We can address it at the next meeting, because I'm not quite sure exactly what you meant by that. You asked why the URA not finished from 2010. Honestly, I cannot attest to what transpired before assuming my position as chair on the URA board. I do know, as it pertains to the minutes from those boards, all of the minutes should be available on our website. If there are some that are missing, you just let us know. We could have our clerk look into that. But I can let you know that of date, the current URA, all of those minutes and the agendas, I think that's maybe what it was, is on our website. We do. Yes, ma'am. So it is the same members. So when the previous URA board was dismantled, we could not eliminate the board. And so it is the same members, but those boards operate completely independent. When we have the meetings, one meeting is open and adjourned, and then the next meeting is started for the other board. Well, yeah, and that's fine, and I welcome it. But as far as the past agenda, again, I know what we have. There are several years, I believe, that are online. I know we did transition from our old website. I don't know if you've seen our new website. Okay, yes, so in that there were some documents, I believe, that were placed in the wrong web page that should have been corrected. And we'll make sure, and Bruce is here, who is the Economic Development Director, and his department oversees the board pages on our website to make sure that everything is in accordance. But it's there, it's on the website. Okay. And then your other comment on the legal teams and the residents of the park at Fort Gillum and that meeting, I'm not sure where that came from. Well, look. Okay, well, okay. 1 second, please, because it's not. But it was open to everybody. Now, I don't recall there ever being a specific request for their legal counsel to be present at that particular meeting. But they were invited. And so for whatever reason, they chose not to attend.
Madam Mayor, their attorney was watching online.
Madam Mayor.
Except for the one about how we operate with the Army, I'll get with you afterwards to get clarification. We'll have an answer at the next meeting.
Madam Mayor,
Oh, yes.
I did have one other comment. I forgot. Thank you. I wanted to address someone mentioned that the proclamation, they thought the proclamation ordinance was to exclude members or have something in place to exclude groups or individuals from being recognized. And I just wanted to clarify, that's not something that, that's not a reason for that. The reason for this proclamation ordinance was to make sure that we are all included, have the opportunity to be included on that. So I just want to make sure I make that clarification.
And I'm gonna have Dr. Cooper make that, allow.
There was a request to amend the agenda for a variance against, well, a variance to to the ordinance for businesses within 5,280 feet of each other. We do have a gentleman here that actually had a variance that was sent in, and it was negated from the agenda, which I do apologize for. That basically is requesting to reopen a barber shop that was there. The ordinance, because there is a hair salon, it talks about hair salon and barber shops. Within that distance, he's not being granted permit to open that shop. So he's asking the council for a variance to that ordinance to allow him to open.
There was already a shop there also.
Yes, there was already a shop there. The
Okay,
shop closed.
so is there a motion to amend the agenda to add the variance discussion for the businesses to operate within 100 feet of each other? Okay. Let's do the motion and then, so is there a motion to amend the agenda for this item?
Motion.
That was Councilman Gutierrez. Is there a second? Councilwoman Wells.
So I'm trying to see, like, are we gonna, because I know this came up before with the hair salon. And that place used to be a hair salon, but they were not allowed to get a permit. So are we gonna pick and choose who's allowed to get a permit? Or are we gonna stick to what we stated in the beginning? Because it's not fair to give it to one person and not give it to someone else. So again, we need to be consistent and make things that work for everyone and not just certain individuals.
Well, I was under the impression, Councilwoman, that that person, it wasn't that they weren't granted, but they just didn't pay
No, I don't know who
I don't
you're
know.
talking about.
the business that was there before this business.
No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about one that
Oh, another one.
Yeah,
Okay.
someone called me about. They used to be a salon. They were trying to open up another salon, but they were turned down. So that's what I'm saying. We need to just be consistent and not just go by case or because somebody knows somebody, like we just need to have something that fits and works for everyone. So can we change it to where, if that business used to be that business, then it can remain, they can open up? Is that what it was?
That's what the variance would allow us. It would allow us to give that, to make that, right, Dr. Cooper? Yeah.
Well, I was gonna ask Mike, wasn't there something in the ordinance that if it was going to reopen as the same type of establishment?
That was for a situation where there was an existing operating business and then they wanted to give it or sell it to a kid or another person and keep the same exact business that's already operating.
Well, we initially had this put in place because the city was becoming oversaturated with other types of businesses. Is that, am I remembering?
Yeah, the intention was there's oversaturation in certain parts of the city as well as the overall number of those types of businesses. So that category, we put in the ordinance that those certain types of businesses, there's a distance separation as well as an overall numerical limitation.
This variance in its case, the only thing it will allow is, so the change would be that we can make the exception if certain circumstances happen, which here, Mr. Kevin, he bought the business. The other person didn't tell them that their license had expired and all these different factors. And then when he went to open his barbershop, he was unable to. So it's not like it's creating one, but it gives us the wiggle room where if certain situations happen, we can address it. Like, for example, what Councilwoman Wells said, I didn't know about.
Yeah, but it does open us up to being selective. So if we do it for one, then essentially we're gonna have to, in order to be consistent and fair, we're gonna have a very good explanation as to why we will not grant it for someone else.
No, I agree. And if it's a new one, that I understand us saying no, but it's something that it was already a barbershop. It's not like it's adding another barbershop. It's the same location. It's just a different one that bought it out and now can't open it because of the ordinance.
Well, that ordinance was new to me. I had not read that ordinance and when that ordinance was brought to my attention, it was, it wasn't my decision to make, which is why the variance was brought forth to the council. Um, and personally, it's a barber shop. I would look at hopefully speaking with the city attorney and the council about modifying the ordinance based on certain criteria, because I think it's just kind of restricted when you say hair salons and barber shops, because not all hair salons cater to barbers and not all barbers have people in hair salons. If it was two barber shops, I could see, but a hair salon and a barber shop, if the hair salon doesn't have barbers on duty, then I think it's really two different businesses catering to basically two different clientele. But that's not what the ordinance says. The ordinance basically states both within that certain distance. And if that's the case, then I would agree with Councilwoman Wells.
So, the amended agenda to have this discussion, I would like to see if we could have a motion to table this, so staff could come up with, recommendations for, changes to the policy. So moved. That was Councilwoman Wells. Is there a second?
Yeah, I think, the variance was recommended by the staff. Like Dr. Cooper is the staff. He brought up the variance.
Not to interrupt you, but Ms. Diane said she didn't get the motion to. Right. So
Oh,
we
yeah,
just
we
got
just
the
had that
motion and the
discussion.
second.
Okay, all right, let's back up. So the motion to amend the agenda, okay. Thank you. To amend the agenda, Councilwoman James,
Yes.
Councilman Antoine, Councilman Gutierrez.
Yes.
Councilwoman Wells.
Yes.
And Councilman Mears. Thank you. So then there was the motion to table this item so staff can revise it. And Councilwoman Wells made the motion.
But he did revise it. He's the one that wrote it. Okay.
So there's a second. Councilman Mears, now the discussion. Yes, sir.
I'm saying the staff, Dr. Cooper's the one who put the variance or the proposal together, right, Doc?
Yes, so the variance was written by the resident. I don't put those together. And basically what it is, the variance is just the resident or the business owner asking the council to modify, basically based on their situation, not everyone's, just their situation.
Yeah, and just to give background, the person bought this business thinking it was a barber shop. They're currently waiting just to open. And because of the variance because of our ordinance that doesn't allow a barber shop or hair salon, it doesn't say, is that it? It's or?
And
Yeah, so there is a hair salon within the vicinity, but there's no barber shop. So for us to hold back on that would make this person wait and not be able to do business until we can address that.
But we've also denied, and correct me if I'm wrong, another business for the same thing.
Was it the same thing, Dr. Cooper?
Well, he wasn't here.
Oh, got you.
I was dealing with, trying to help them. They reached out. And they were told that they couldn't get it. Yeah. So it fixed everybody.
So I'm gonna call for the question. Councilwoman James? To table.
Yes, to
Okay,
table.
Councilman Antoine? Councilman Gutierrez?
No.
Councilwoman Wells?
Yes.
And Councilman Mears? All right, thank you. Now, is there a motion to recess the regular meeting and enter into executive session for personnel, litigation, real estate, or legal matters?
So moved.
Councilwoman James, is there a second?
Second.
Now, Councilman Gutierrez, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right.
Are we back on? You're gonna call debut? Are we recording? Make sure you. Are we recording, Ms. White?
Oh, okay. Is there a motion to adjourn the executive session and reconvene into our regular meeting? Councilman Mears, is there a second? Councilman Gutierrez, all in favor?
Aye.
Are we gonna wait until? I thought we was gonna call him, that way he can be a part of, because he was at the meeting.
Well, yeah, we're just adjourning this.
Yeah. we're on.
So, is that all in favor of adjourning the executive session?
Yes, so move.
Thank you. Oh, no, it's a vote. All in favor of reconvening into our regular meeting?
So move. Oh, you gotta get the second. Get the second. Okay. Aye.
Thank you. We could not get Councilman Antoine back. There is a recommendation from. Okay. Okay, there is a motion to appoint Felicia Davis to the Development Authority. Is there a motion to accept that motion?
I make a motion, we appoint Felicia Davis to the Development Authority.
That was Councilwoman Wells. Is there a second?
Second.
That was Councilman Gutierrez. Any discussion? Councilwoman James?
Yes.
Councilman Antoine? Councilman Gutierrez?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wells?
Yes.
And Councilman Mears? All right, is there a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Councilwoman Wells, is there a second?
I'll second. Yes.
Favor?
Aye.
Opposed?